Another bad day for President Trump as witnesses in the impeachment inquiry shot down the defenses thrown out by his Republican allies. But a White House official tells CNN that they don't believe the president is in danger of being removed from office. Let's discuss now. Guy Smith is here, who was a Clinton impeachment advisor. Chris Whipple here as well, the author of The Gatekeepers, How the White House Chiefs of Staff Define Every Presidency. Good evening, perhaps the acting one in this one. Right? We shall see. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. So after we heard from Fiona Hill and David Holmes today, here's what a CNN sources at the White House is telling CNN, that they are downplaying the impeachment today, saying, quote, there's something missing. You say that that's like a White House that's in a state of denial. They aren't ready for the battle ahead. Tell me why you say that.
You know, there's been no discernible impeachment defense, and part of the reason for that is that there is no defense here. I mean, the president's actions are indefensible, and it's an open and shut case on the evidence. But I think one of the factors here is also a kind of hubris, because this White House was convinced that Bob Mueller was the only game in town, that if they got past Mueller, it was game, set, match. All their worries were behind them. Mm-hmm. And they had no idea what was coming. They were unprepared for it. And I actually got a text yesterday from somebody who knows Trump well, who talks to him on the phone quite a lot. And
was it Gordon Sondland?
No. But this person asked me if I thought that Nixon would have been removed from office without the tapes. And my response was, are you trying to tell me something? Are there tapes? And he said, no. And I said, it would have taken a while. This person is convinced there's no quote unquote direct evidence, which is just flat out denial, because we know the evidence is there, the direct evidence is there in spades, from the memo of the phone call to the witnesses to the Kiev restaurant phone call to Mick Mulvaney blurting out a confession on national TV. The direct evidence is there for everybody to see, but the defense right now seems to be no direct evidence.
Well, I think the president has boxed him in because he's saying it's perfect, but I think anyone with half a brain knows that the call was not perfect. And it's not just the call, it is the meeting as well, right? Yeah. So, but they're boxed in. They can't say, which would, I think this may be all over if they said the president did something inappropriate, but it's not impeachable. It doesn't warrant being removed from office.
Well, he won't let them say that, because it was perfect, and he thinks he's perfect. But the danger that they have, the smoking cannon, is in the original transcript where the quid pro quo, the bribery was, and Biden's name was used by the president in that original thing, and all the rest of this is just corroborated, all of it. So it's right there. And think, on August 24th, nobody had ever heard of Ukraine. Here we are 7 weeks later, and think about what we know. What will we know tomorrow, especially when Bolton comes and testifies, and he will.
You think so?
Absolutely.
And someone said he was was it the big white shark or something, like the great white shark that was going to bite everybody in this? They call Rudy Giuliani the
I'm not sure I'd call him that, but,
yeah,
but he's got a...
Meaning he was going to bite folks, yeah.
He's absolutely going to bite.
Listen, so I mentioned this when I was speaking with Governor Granholm and Charlie Dent, the former Governor Granholm and Charlie Dent, about the president meeting with key senators at the White House today. Among them, swing states for Mitt Romney, Susan Collins. Though Susan Collins told that they didn't talk about that, and they didn't feel like she was trying to butter up the jurors or what have you. And Mitt Romney said they didn't talk about their differences. But do you think he's going to try to just keep an eye on these senators, even though it's along party lines right now?
You know, I just wouldn't give him credit for that much cleverness, or even for any kind of strategy. I mean, was listening to Carl Bernstein earlier and John Dean, who were saying that this was worse than Watergate, and I think they're right. But one of the really striking similarities to me is that, you know, it's not the first time we've had a president who was delusional. Dick Nixon was convinced the CIA was out to get him. He thought there was dirt somewhere in the Brookings Institution on an opponent.
That's paranoia.
The safe, he wanted Haldeman to go and blow the safe and get it out. Haldeman didn't do it. But that delusion almost pales in comparison to Trump's obsession with 2016. And I think that it is not the great white shark, but maybe his white whale, as Tom Bossert put it.
Wow.
He is so obsessed with it, he can't let it go. And what was so devastating about Fiona Hill today, I think, was the way in which she, in no uncertain terms, demonstrated that Donald Trump is a Russian asset. At the very least, he's an unwitting asset, and maybe worse.
Yeah, that's got to be the last
We're going
word.
to start now to see they're going to start shooting at each other. Mulvaney, Pompeo.
That's got to be the last word. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.